What's up, guys? If you don't know me, my name is Chris Connolly, and I own the go-to residential painting company in Farmington, New Mexico that I run remotely from my home 3 hours away in Albuquerque. Today, I'm going to talk about how we get over 90% of our prospects to show up to the estimate appointment, allowing us to sell over $1 million worth of residential painting jobs per year. First off, we make sure that when we schedule the appointment, that the appointment is scheduled within a week or so. The further out you schedule your appointments, the more you're going to need to touch base leading up to the appointment. Now, we have 2 phone calls that we'll make leading up to the appointments scheduled within a week. The first is a confirmation call, and the second is a reminder call. I'm going to dive into both, but let's first start with the confirmation call. Our objectives with the confirmation call are as follows. 1, confirm the appointment details. There may be some details that were missed in the initial call when the appointment was set. This conversation allows you to dive a little bit deeper. Getting more information allows you to prepare what different scopes might look like ahead of time so that you can start to prepare different options for the customer ahead of time, and you'll be more prepared when you get there. 2, discourage reschedules and cancellations. The call itself will naturally discourage people from not showing up. That's not to say that it won't happen, but the goal here is to get you to over 90% of prospects showing up. If the time or day isn't a good fit for them, you can usually find that out on this call and reschedule accordingly. 3, create an additional touch point for familiarity. The more people hear your voice, the more they're going to start to recognize you and feel comfortable with you. The goal here isn't to trick them, but to get them comfortable enough with you beforehand so they'll be honest and receptive to you during the estimate appointment. 4, build some rapport. Now, this goes hand in hand with what I just mentioned. The more you talk to them, you have the opportunity to build small bits of rapport ahead of time, and the more rapport you've built, the more comfortable they'll be with you. The more comfortable they are with you, the more likely they will be to actually tell you what they really want, need, or expect, and that gives you the opportunity to help them better. 5, establish the need. This also goes hand in hand with some of the things I just mentioned. The more details you can get on this conversation, the more you can establish where their need is coming from so you can approach the solution from the right angle. Trying to sell a preventive maintenance paint job to someone who's painting because they've never truly felt like this was their home is not going to be effective. Dive deeper here. 6, prepare for the estimate appointment. Find out what colors they're thinking about. Prep some materials ahead of time to run through colors with them. Remember, you're building a vision. Make sure that you have the tools and information necessary to understand their vision just as well, if not better, than they do. 7, reschedule if all parties will not be present. You're going to be spending a bunch of time here and covering a lot. Part of our responsibility is to make sure that we are getting them exactly what they're expecting. We can't do that if we don't have everyone's expectations out on the table. That means that we need everyone present who's going to have any input at all. This isn't just husband and wife. Sometimes this is a roommate. Sometimes this includes the kids too. And 8, build trust through micro promises and honesty. Like I said before, you're building a vision, and the more you can prepare ahead of time, the better. You can make promises like preparing some materials ahead of time. If you can, maybe get some color samples mixed up ahead of time to slap on the wall while you're there so they can see some stuff in person. You also know that you're going to be doing a reminder call, so let them know that too. If they need another contractor for something else, you can refer a reputable contractor to them. The main key here is to make sure that you actually follow through on all of the promises you make, whether that's referring them to a reputable gutter contractor or just bringing some color resources with you. Actually do what you said you would. Making the promise is what gets them to pay attention so that when you fulfill your promises, they already start to see that you're trustworthy. You already know you're trustworthy. You just need to get them to pay attention so that they know that too. Confirmation calls should be done 1 to 4 days ahead of time, but no closer to the estimate than 24 hours. If the appointment is scheduled more than a week out, you'll probably want to do 1 a week or 1 every other week until you get closer to the scheduled day, but in that scenario, you'll want to do multiple calls leading up to it. Here's an example of what a confirmation call might look like. Hey John, it's Chris with Desert Winds Painting. Hey Chris, how are you? Oh, I'm good. So I was just calling because I've got you in my schedule for this coming Thursday and I wanted to confirm a few details. Can you spare a couple minutes real quick? Sure. Yeah, so I see you're looking to get some info on painting the outside of your house. Yeah, we're looking to get the house on the market in October and we just wanted to freshen it up. Sure, we could definitely help you get that fixed up to sell pretty fast. Have you noticed any damage that may need to be repaired? Well, we've got some stucco that needs to be patched. Is that something you guys do? You know, it really just depends on how extensive the damage is, but I can definitely take a look when I come out, and if we can't take care of it, I can at least point you in the right direction. That would be good. Okay, cool. And I see in my notes that your wife might have input on the colors, but she has to work that day. What would be a better time where we could get her involved for input as well? Yeah, that's probably not going to happen. Our schedules are pretty hectic, so it's hard for us both to get the same times off. No worries. Would it be easier if we did later in the day or maybe on a weekend? Yeah, Saturdays would actually work. Okay, cool. I can put you down for next Saturday, the 12th. Are you guys morning people? I am, but she isn't. What do you have in the afternoon? I've actually got date night every Saturday at 3, so as long as we can take care of it before then, I can make something work. How does 1 p.m. that Saturday sound? Or if you want to do Sunday, I could do a little bit later. 1 p.m. on Saturday works for me. Okay, great. And you guys have colors that you're already looking at? My wife is pretty much the one who's going to be choosing the colors. Ah, smart man. Sounds good. Well, in that case, we can run through all of that when I come out as well. Just to confirm, I've got you at 920 Santa Ana Avenue. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. Sweet. And when I get there, where should I park so that I'm not in anyone's way? In the driveway is fine. Okay, cool. I'll give you a shout when I'm headed your way that day. Sounds good. All right, John. Thanks for your time. Before I go, what questions do you have for me? None that I can think of offhand. Okay, well, if you have any between now and then, this number is my cell phone, so feel free to call or text if you think of anything. Okay, sounds good. All right, well, I'll let you get back to your day, and I'll see you both on Saturday the 12th at 1 p.m. See you then. Thanks, John. Bye. All right. Bye, Chris. All right, now onto the reminder call. The objectives of the reminder call are very similar to the confirmation call, but since they should happen a half hour to an hour before the actual estimate appointment, and you'll be seeing the customer very soon, you don't need to go into as much detail. The main objectives are to kind of touch on some of the other points that we touched on in the confirmation call. 1. Confirm the appointment availability. Again, if all parties won't be present, it's better to reschedule now than to get there and only have half of the people that'll actually be involved there. 2. If they intend to cancel or reschedule, this reminder puts them in a situation where they better let you know now. Most people won't, but it's better that they let you know now if they're going to versus you showing up and getting stood up, which, by the way, will still happen from time to time. 3. Adding another touch point. We talked about this a minute ago, but the more they hear from you, the less you'll feel like a stranger. Again, this makes it easier for them to open up to you, which allows you to help them better. 4. Continue to build on micro-promises. Remind them of any promises you made before and make some new micro-promises now to show that you're already doing what you said you would and that you're paying attention to the details. Once again, your reminder call should be a half hour to an hour before the scheduled estimate time, but ideally no earlier than 2 hours before the estimate. If the appointment is a little bit further away, or if you're running ahead of schedule and you wanted to offer an earlier appointment time, then you could call earlier. Here's an example of what a reminder call might look like. Hey John, it's Chris with Desert Winds Painting. Hey Chris. I just wanted to let you know that I'll be headed your way here soon. Does 1 o'clock still work for you and Susan? Susan actually has to run to pick up the kids, so it'll actually just be me here. Oh, okay. In that case, why don't we push it back a little bit until she gets back? We're going to be covering a lot, so I want to make sure that everyone can be on the same page. Do you think she'll be back by 1:30? Probably not, but honestly, we don't need her here to get a price. Now, when handling this kind of response, don't be defensive or aggressive in your response. Try to be more informative and play it off like it's no big deal to reschedule. This happens all the time. There's a lot to go over that I imagine you'll both have some input on. No worries though. When do you think she'll be home? She probably won't be home until like 4:30 or so. Shoot, I don't think that would work for me. Let me pull my calendar real quick and we can work out a time to reschedule. Do you have a calendar handy? From here, you're just going to work out a new time to reschedule the appointment where they both can be there. If you do end up rescheduling on your reminder call, you'll need to make sure to do another reminder call the day of the appointment. Depending on how far out it was rescheduled to, you may also need to add in more touch points. You want to make sure that they're hearing from you once a week at the bare minimum, but realistically, since most appointments will be booked inside of a week, they should hear from you every 1 to 3 days. By following the process that I just outlined, you can ensure that over 90% of your prospects will show up ready for their appointments, leading to more successful sales conversations. Remember, it's about building trust and relationships. If you can get more people to show up ready for their appointments, actually care about them, provide a solution for them, not for you, and give actual value while being a real person instead of a salesperson, you can't not increase your sales. Thanks for joining. If you found this video helpful, hit the subscribe button for more info on how to grow your painting business. If you know someone who's struggling with sales in their painting business, go ahead and hit the share button below and you can link this video in a text or email. Catch you later.